Okay, what is this? Domestic girlfriend? Never heard of that shit. Quintessential selfless, Doro. Oh, this show. When 2019 came in and Kaguya-sama aired, it blew up the internet. So many people were intrigued into the show, including myself. It was the funniest thing that we've seen in a while, and while romance came into the show, most people thought that the comedy was probably the biggest thing of the show. It was what I was looking for in a romantic comedy, and it was the first romantic comedy that people talked about in a very, very long time. I was thrilled to see how many people watched the show and thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought to myself that this wasn't going to get better. Of course, it did. Now, you're not here because I'm telling you to watch Kaguya. You should already be watching Kaguya. If you haven't, what the fuck are you doing? This anime itself is the GOAT. The fact that this show was able to top down Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for a month, that's fucking crazy. So originally, when we were watching this show, a lot of people were kind of skeptical about it. They just thought it was just going to be some random romantic comedy, and after episode 3, everybody just died. Chika itself is probably one of the factors in this entire anime that has kept people sticking into this anime. Episodes got funnier and funnier, and people were just laughing their asses off, which I was really happy to see. But then, of course, the romance aspect of the show, nobody seemed to really care about it that much until the last few episodes of the first season. This was genuinely the first time I've seen so many people excited for a romantic comedy. The second season came out in the beginning of the pandemic, and despite all studios delaying their anime until the next season, Kaguya-sama was just not one of those shows. It not only aired 1 year later from its premiere date, but it kept going despite the pandemic happening. There was no quality drops, nothing. Just the same old Kaguya-sama that we needed during the pandemic. I think this is why the anime got so much more attention. It was just something warm and something that we had to enjoy despite like having such tough times to deal with. Honestly, I do have to talk about season 2 a little bit because Ishigami was on a whole new level. So he's the treasurer, and basically he's always just a lonely kid who's into gaming, and we see Miko always judging him about it. But then out of nowhere, this guy just gets 2 to 3 episodes of development. Not only was it just a tragic story, but towards the end, you couldn't feel anything but happiness for him. He did so much and sacrificed so much for everyone, and he got the result that he wanted. This character development just came out of nowhere, and I won't forget when I first saw the episode that I was just freaking out for this character I didn't even care about. The scene where Ina also fights against the president, that scene was also just good. She wanted a fair fight against the president, and the president gave it to her. This is probably one of my favorite scenes in season 2 as well. And then we hopped on to the third season. So what exactly changed from season 2 to season 3? Well, if you've watched it, you'll know that nothing fucking changed. It was the same good old show in the long run. More funny moments and more romantic moments. There is legitimately a new rap song just for the theme of the episode. Like, look at this fucking shit. Yeah, this is insane. The same love and care went into the anime just like the rest of the seasons. More development for Ishigami as well, when he finally starts to love again rather than fear himself. Seeing his growing character made me smile even though I already knew the backstory from the second season. Up to now, I haven't really talked about the main duo, but this was when they started hitting their peak. I think the end of season 3 gave us the peak in which the anime community wanted. The amount of time that we had seen from season 1 to season 3, and then getting to that point, it caused so many people to jump out of their chairs. In today's standards, there's a lot of shows that just last for a while, and just like Boku no Hero, Naruto, Bleach. There's all these shows that lasted a very long time, and people kind of expected that the show would stay in its formula for a very long time. The president would fight against Kaguya, Kaguya would fight back against president, but because of the buildup from the previous seasons, it caused just a giant uproar, like the people cheering on for the World Cup and saying, "Oh my god, the Blue Lock is real!" Ah! I think this show definitely does deserve its rating. It's straight up one of the best shows out right now, regarded to most anime fans as peak romance fiction. I've even read the manga for the show, and it's pretty damn good. So if you haven't watched it already, please do. So now the next topic that I want to talk about. Kaguya-sama is worthy of its spot, but this does overpower pretty much every romance anime that I've seen. Because of Kaguya-sama, I'm beginning to see a lot of people say, when's the next Kaguya-sama? Is this show like Kaguya-sama? Comparisons between Kaguya and pretty much every romance anime, Kaguya will always take the spot for pretty much everyone. Because of this mindset, a lot of people have been trashing romance anime because it's not Kaguya-sama recently. This overwhelming sense of hierarchy just makes it seem like nothing can compete with Kaguya, and I don't think there's anything that will reach that spot right now. There's definitely some romance anime that has been talked about in previous years, but I think Kaguya has definitely overtaken pretty much everything. Let's look at another example from the same season, Shigemori-san. The hype before Shigemori-san was pretty extreme, and this caused it to have its downfall. If you look at Shigemori-san's rating on Mal, you could see how bad the show has a rating of. Shigemori was just being shat on while Kaguya was being called a king. Kaguya was absolutely better than Shigemori-san, but because of Kaguya, it caused Shigemori to be underplayed. There was also delays in Shigemori-san's episodes, but when I did read the manga and people were complaining about Shigemori-san, I didn't really understand why people were complaining about it. It stays dedicated to its source material, and while Kaguya was definitely the better show of that season, I don't think Shigemori itself was a bad show. Two other series that we can talk about is Aharon-san and also When Will I Make His Move. Same hate goes into both of these shows. Two other examples would be Tsukigakure and Snafu. I liked both of these series, and from what I've heard, both these series actually had high regard and a lot of people liked it. The problem with this is because Kaguya came out, most people have either one, moved on from it, or people just straight up don't know the show anymore, especially for newer fans. On top of that, Yahari Season 3 released during the peak of the pandemic, which didn't help its status even more. By the time the last few episodes aired, Yahari had already been forgotten despite the attention for it. Also, it wasn't in the best romance category for Crunchyroll, but we don't talk about that. Kaguya seems to be like the only romantic comedy on people's minds, when in reality there's definitely other romantic comedies or pure romance anime to watch. There's definitely a lot more romantic comedies out there, and most of them feel underwhelming towards the anime community. The last type of romance is honestly, in my eyes, probably a bigger problem. I'm literally about to get flamed right now. So, what happens when Kaguya is king? What are the closest things into beating Kaguya? Let's go horny as fuck anime! Nagatoro, Rent-A-Girlfriend, as well as Dress Up Darling are the series that air that can be displayed as horny as fuck. These series have definitely been getting more attention and getting a lot more popular compared to like Tsukigakure and Yahari. Some of these are actually good series, but I just don't really like how Nagatoro, Rent-A-Girlfriend, and Dress Up Darling have to have the spice to kill the rest of the romance genre. If this is the kind of appeal that people tend to have, I guess go for it, but I just feel like that's just me. It doesn't have to be. I don't think spice level should be the determining factor in how you watch an anime. Also, anime with no spice? Skip. Oh, horny as shit? Yes. That's apparently how it is now. Kaguya is such a great series that it's become a staple to the romance genre. However, it accidentally causes a lot of anime to go down because of it. I don't see many people talking about other romance anime besides this one. It just feels disappointing sometimes. Heck, Komi-san aired in legitimately the same season, but pretty much it's not talked about as much. Of course, it's because it's not in the juicy parts of the manga yet, but still the same thing. Additionally, I've read the Kaguya manga, and I'm also kind of worried about the fans. After the ending of season 3, the show will become more romance focused than its mix of comedy and romance. The first 3 seasons were more balanced, or even just mostly comedy based, such as season 1 and 2. But past season 3, there will be more romance rather than comedy as a whole. As there are people who tend to like romantic comedies as a whole for its comedy, this might remove a lot of the fan base, and I feel like this is why the 4th season is actually a movie. There's enough content to cover over a 4th or even a 5th season, but a movie was put into production instead. It's just something that I can't help but think to myself every time a new romance is going to be put out. Is a new romance anime just going to be treated like jack shit just because it's not Kaguya? Is the Kaguya fan base going to drop a little bit? I think for now, it won't drop, but honestly, it's still worrying to see. With one of my favorite romantic comedies being adapted in 2023, what exactly is the anime community gonna think when this comes out? Honestly, I don't have any clue, but I really hope that this show does go well, and I really hope that people give some other shows like this a chance. Hey y'all, thanks for watching my first video and sticking to the end, because this is a pretty long video. I didn't want to take up much time, but I didn't really know how to format the video. This topic has also been on my mind for a while, so I've tried my best to emphasize a few things. I don't know what my next video will be about, to be honest, or when it'll be uploaded, so please be patient. It will most likely be the topic I talked about in the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And if I don't make a video before the new year ends, happy holidays. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed the video.